morning and welcome to Life of Bliss. My name's Kyle, if you guys haven't been here before, and today we are going to be doing some welding. I have not done some welding in probably a decade or so, but my smoker, it's a pit barrel smoker. I'll show you what that is in just a moment, but the bottom of it is starting to crack, and it's got some rust, it's got some corrosion just from some water, it raining and water getting in there, and also just over time the heat got to it a little bit. So we are going to grab it, bring it up to the shop there, see if we can throw the welder on it and see what we can get done. And as it's getting colder here, maybe 20 degrees out, maybe 25, I'm realizing that all of my heavy duty winter clothing, I've become too powerful over time to fit in them. So I definitely need to invest in some nice winter clothing because it gets real chilly real quick out there. So this is my trusty pit barrel cooker. It has done great for quite a few years. I've had it for about 7-8 years maybe. Done a great job, love the way it cooks food. The only problem is the coal bed sits on the bottom and you're not supposed to see light through there like that. That is rusting away. That hole over here on the side, that's for airflow. That is too much air though. It's making things very, very hot, cooking it way too quickly. So I've got to seal that up, obviously. I went to a local welding shop and they got me some steel here. Now, that barrel is only 18 gauge steel. This is 9 gauge steel. Actually, I believe maybe that's 16 gauge. Can't quite remember. Anyways, this is much thicker, 9 gauge steel, heavy piece of steel. That is going to last for a long time. It's actually overkill, but that's what they had, and it was going to be the same price as the thinner stuff if he had any. So went ahead and went with that, but I'm going to go ahead, flip this over, and I'll show you how I'm going to attach that to the bottom. There's still a bunch of ashes in there, so I moved outside, but like I said, you can see this is just falling apart, so that ain't gonna work. There's actually a pretty strong lip here on the side. What I'm planning on doing is cutting with a cutting wheel around here, leaving about maybe a 1/2 inch there, and then I will cut that other piece of steel to fit on top of that lip. I'll sand down, or I'll grind down all the finish off of here so there's something good for the welder to make connection with and make a good weld. But it doesn't have to be pretty, it's on the bottom, and we're really just making sure this is completely sealed up to make sure there's no extra airflow coming in. So we get my cutting wheel, make a cut coming along here, and then we'll take a measurement on our steel piece, cut that, start welding, should be done, and then we can start smoking again. That's the main goal. That came out pretty easily. Like I said, that's not supposed to be there. You're supposed to just have a little opening for some airflow. So when you have that giant hole in the bottom messing things up, your meat cooks real quick. So that turned out pretty well. I'll be able to clean up that lip a little bit, get that paint off. I'm actually going to use this as the template for what I need to cut out on here. I'm going to go just a little larger than what this is, so that way it should fit up real nice on the bottom over there. I'll take some measurements just to make sure everything will fit up, but we'll go ahead and get that on there and start cutting out that much thicker piece of metal. And I think this thicker steel is going to take quite a bit longer than that thin steel that 18 or 16 gauge did. I actually have a plug-in cutoff wheel instead of a battery powered one because I don't think it's going to cut it for this. No pun intended. So here is where I'm at, getting that edge all cleaned up, getting all that paint off of there, so got something to weld to. That's some pretty sturdy steel there, so that should hold up just fine once we get the new one welded on. And I'll just have to make sure to oversize it just a bit, just so it'll fit in there, but not too much to where I'm going towards the edge, to where the paint is not ground off there. So let's go ahead, measure out, and get to cutting our piece of metal over there. Alright, there we go. Got the first corner cut out at least. Angle grinder's doing fine. It just takes a little while. It'd be really nice to have a plasma cutter, but I'm not fortunate enough to have one of those. And I don't do enough metal stuff anyways to warrant one. But we'll go ahead, get the rest of this cut out. It's probably going to take me 20-30 minutes to get this all cut out. So I will see you here in just a bit with a completed circle. And that right there is why you wear safety glasses. That would not have felt good hitting my face or eye. Luckily it didn't. New grinding wheel time. So that took much longer than I'd like to admit. But here's my circle. We're gonna throw it on here, see how it fits up. All right. Let me get it positioned on here. All right, so this fit up super nice on here. The biggest gap I have, maybe it's a little bit right there, but that welder is going to fill that in. There's a little gap right there, but everything is good. Really, I don't need to make any adjustments at all to it. So go ahead and get the welder out, see if we can't get this tacked on here and start welding around it. All right, so I did want to go over the plan with you on how I was going to do this, and I'm more of a visual guy, so we'll come on here. So we've got the barrel, we'll say the barrel's right here, and the lid's pretty much the same size there. What we're going to do is we're going to take this lid and put it over here on top of the barrel. So once that's on there, we'll be able to come up here towards the top, and with this space up here, we'll be able to weld that together and get all that situated. So that's the plan. Hopefully that diagram helped you out a little bit. It's not the best diagram, but you know what, it's the best I can do. So we'll get the welder out and get to going. All right, welder is all set up. Now the plan here is to take this little scrap piece and just tack it in a few spots here in the center so I can put the ground wire just in an easy space. It's just going to be easy to clamp onto. There's no other place on this barrel that is not painted and giving me a good ground. So we're going to use that scrap piece, then I'll just grind it off later. That's thick enough steel. I'm not too worried about it. It's not going to go through or anything like that whenever I grind it off. So that's the plan. And I am not the best welder in the world. I have not welded probably in 10 years, and I've had very limited experience at that. So I do know the basics. I know how to make it run. I know how to get metal to stick to each other. So this is not going to be pretty, but it is going to be functional, and that's all that matters. So keep that in mind. Don't watch this video thinking you're going to learn how to weld, because I'm not your guy for that. But goal is to get that stuck onto the bottom of this barrel, which we will do. So let's get to welding up. There you go, just a little weld just to get that metal piece on there for that ground wire. Go ahead and start going all the way around this sucker. See if I can't get it to hold. So I'm gonna do a few tack welds going around this just to get it down where I need to, and then I'll go back and start doing some lines. And when I said I wasn't an expert welder, I was not lying. I am getting some decent beads down in places. I'm going through the metal in others. I have to come back and touch those up. But for the most part, I should be able to cruise on through this and go around without warping the metal too bad, and get it all finished up. I'm gonna adjust the settings just a little bit on the welder, see if I can get to stop going through. But yeah, let's watch the process of me burning through the bottom of my smoker. It's sealed up. It's not super pretty, but I got the hang of it pretty good right here. I feel like those are pretty good welds. You know, that 3 inches or so. But no, I think it's sealed up for the most part. I'm gonna take a grinder to it, see if there are any holes I need to fill in, and should be done. Maybe throw some paint on there. We'll see. Work light, throw it underneath, and see if we got any holes. Yeah, there's a few right there. Come back and try to fill those in. Ooh, got one right there peeking through. Ooh, quite a bit right there. All right, so that was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be, just looking at it. But yeah, a couple of holes. I'll come back, fill these in, make sure everything's airtight. I'll chop my my ground piece off there, and yeah, paint her up. Should be good to go. All right, so I had to take a quick break from welding to come out here and play on our bill jack. It's not every day you get to do welding and chainsawing in the same day, so it's been fun. Had to cut down this tree. That tree was right there. There's a stump. It was kind of hanging up and over the side of the shop, which eventually I'm gonna do like a lean-to over here. I want some more room. Plus we have some wider things like my trailer to back up next to it, and that wouldn't have been able to back in there with that tree. Plus it just puts a bunch of leaves and gunk up in the gutters on the shop there, which we have to clean out every year. So got rid of that. I will show you the final result on the smoker. All right, there it is, all painted up. Got some high heat grill paint through on there, just to protect it, help it from rusting and everything. I already did the inside as well, so it is ready to use. Everything looks about as good as I thought it would, which you know what, it made a seal, so that was the goal. So yeah, these pit barrel cookers, like I said, I've had this one for like 7 or 8 years. They have covers for them, which I don't have one, so there's been water that's gotten inside. That's really the only reason that this is rusted out like it has, and we use it a ton. I mean, that's a pretty good lifespan really for something like this. I really enjoy it, so I wanted to fix it rather than just throw it away and buy another one. All right, now that the heater is off, this cost me about $30 in metal was all. Now granted, I had the welder, I had the cutoff tool, the cutoff wheel and everything, but really pretty cheap fix since I already had the tools versus buying a new one or buying something different. And now this has a ton of life left. If you guys are interested in these things, I'll throw a link down in the description. These things are awesome. They make excellent ribs. I make ribs on them all the time. But anyways, I hope this was helpful for you guys. Maybe you learned something. Maybe you just enjoyed watching me attempt to weld and do poorly at it. But regardless, I appreciate you stopping by and watching. Thanks for watching Life of Bliss, and I will